Hi, and welcome to iHeartSF's fourth podcast. We're so grateful to be here at the Salesforce Tower here in San Francisco with the most amazing view of the Bay Bridge behind us. So thank you, Mark, for letting us be here today. And, you know, the reason I created the iHeartSF podcast was to shine a light on what's made San Francisco great from its origins to what makes San Francisco great in 2025. And, one of those things, one of the most notable things, is that San Francisco became a global destination for technology, startups, and major corporations. And that's kind of why we're here today. I actually, a couple weeks ago, met my new friend Ron, and hi Ron, at a Pride event where we had two booths next to each other, and we started talking, and it came up, the Lawrence Livermore, I started talking about technology. I can't even remember what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think you talk about Livermore and the origins of some of the technology.
And the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory came up, and you're like, oh my God, I have ties to that. And you were telling me about, your father had worked there.
My grandfather worked there. My father worked there.
Yep. You have a lot of ties to that place.
Tons of ties, yeah.
Yeah. Something interesting before we get into that, back in the day when I was, in elementary school, we all got huge technology field trips. And back in the 80s, it was Moffett Field and NASA. But there was the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, but we didn't get out there. Being on the peninsula side, it's in the East Bay.
Side, yeah.
But if anybody out there did go to the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory as a field trip when they were young, Generation Xers, I'm looking for you. Please let us know, because I would love to know what it was about. I can tell you all about NASA, but not there. Yeah. Anyways, the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory was probably is the first technology company here in the Bay Area.
It's an early one, yeah. It was started in the 1940s. It was Oppenheimer, and it was Mr. Lawrence, and it was. They created it to study nuclear reactions and to build the bomb.
Right. For national security for the entire country.
That's right. It started out as the University of California Radiation Lab. That's what they called it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
very cool.
It was the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.
Oh, very cool.
It was around 1952. They changed the name.
Okay.
The radiation lab didn't have a good PR ring to it. So they changed it to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory around 1952.
Okay. And when did your dad start working there? You were probably a young buck.
Yeah, I was young. My grandfather started working there in the early 50s.
Okay, so right when it started.
Yeah. He was one of the first employees during the transition from the radiation lab to the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory.
Wow.
He was a welder at, where did he work before? At Standard Oil in Richmond.
Okay.
And he had some ties to UC Berkeley, and there was a contract to go out and be a welder at the lab. And they were going to rebrand it, and so he was one of the early people to go onto that.
That was great, to see so much change in all those years.
Oh my gosh, so many, yeah.
And your dad worked there too.
Yeah, my dad worked there too. My dad was there, started around 1979, I want to say.
Yeah. Okay.
He started out as an electrician, and then he went on to be an inspector, and then he was the chief construction person. And then he was the chief construction inspector. That's why he retired as the chief inspector for the electrical side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that place, the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, is still going strong.
I mean, it's foundational.
For decades.
Yeah, during my dad's tenure, they had the largest, most powerful laser in the world at the time.
Did they really?
They had the largest magnet, most powerful magnet in the world at the time. And they had the fastest supercomputer. They were early adopter of the supercomputers.
No kidding. The ones we used to see in the 80s in the movies.
Yeah, totally. Oh man, they had an IBM 704 and a 709 were the two big ones. Those were the two they did in conjunction with IBM, and that's where they lived.
I bet you there's a lot of tech people out there that would love those words.
Well,
they would understand them.
The original supercomputers were there to crunch data and create virtual simulations of a nuclear explosion.
Oh, wow.
And so that's what the computers did. Yeah.
You know, and that just show you, you know, where our technology roots started.
Yeah.
You know, in the early 50s.
Yeah.
You know, national security and what have you, and where we've evolved to since then.
Yeah.
I mean, you have lived in San Francisco since 1995.
92.
92. I keep saying 95.
Yeah.
1992.
Yeah. I was 21 years old. You know, it was. I love to tell people I was so excited because I saved $300 and I could afford to move to San Francisco.
I mean, no, that's a big accomplishment.
How can you move to San Francisco at $300 now? Yeah,
back then, it's definitely different now, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I shared a room with. I shared an apartment with 2 other people, and I shared one of those rooms with one person.
Wow.
So my rent was $160 a month.
Oh my God.
And with $300, I thought, hey, I got almost 2 months worth of rent. I can move here.
You're ready to go. You know, you sound like the kids who came up here to become engineers and at all the different startups.
They were all cramming in little places,
basements and different places in San Francisco. Isn't that crazy, right?
They after the first year, one person moved out. After the second year, the second person moved out, and it was just me. And I'm still in the same apartment. You're still the same part?
Yeah. And you've just probably seen the city evolve and change over the years.
A lot of changes.
You know what's interesting is in that time, in the early 90s, is, you know, I started teaching for the first time in 1998. I was teaching down in Sunnyvale off Lawrence Expressway at Fairwood Elementary. I was teaching kindergarten. Yeah. And Silicon Valley wasn't quite known as Silicon Valley back then, but, you know, young, starry-eyed entrepreneurs descended onto the Bay Area, into these, you know, San Francisco, South Bay, wherever they were, and just tried to make it work with different startups. It was about 1998, early 2000s, the dot-com boom, started consistently happening. And then, you know, I was commuting from Foster City to Sunnyvale, and, you know, standard commute times at that time were, you know, you had startups and you had different technology and stuff like that, but the commute times were 6 to 9 in the morning or 4 to 7 in the afternoon. You know, you were just...
listen to KGO and hear the traffic and weather.
That's right. And you could get 30 miles in 30 minutes. There were no hours-long commutes at that time. You know, but in the late 90s and the early 2000s, you know, as I taught in Sunnyvale for those couple of years, you constantly start to see more and more startups and more people. And the traffic patterns started changing, and they started getting even, you know, well, what we see today was the beginnings of it, I think probably in the early 90s and what have you. And then comes along a very little known man named Mark Zuckerberg in Facebook, right into Menlo Park and Atherton, you know, and about 2004 is where we started seeing, you know, major corporations, these tech companies, these little small startups. You know, you have Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, who's like a standard, and, you know, stayed there and they did their thing, and they're, you know, they're there, you know, and then you get these, you started Facebook, and other conglomerates started coming in and rising up, and just started changing the demographic in the, you know, the top of the Bay Area. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I was in the 90s. I was a recruiter for hardware design engineers.
Okay.
And so I saw a lot of that. You know,
Tell me.
You know, we were constantly, I worked here in San Francisco. You know, this was before everyone had, there were no smartphones.
Yeah, right. We remember a time.
One computer for the whole office.
Right.
And if you wanted to go use the office computer, you could, but we weren't really sure what to do with it.
Yeah.
You know, we would type some letters
in
on
real
there,
time,
and we would print them and fax them. Yeah.
I mean, but this is in real time. You're showing me how technology is, you know, evolving.
Yeah.
And what happens with the consequences of technology evolving.
Oh my gosh,
I mean, the consequences are insane. Good and bad, right?
Density of population, traffic patterns, demographics, challenges with where the workforce comes from.
Right.
You know, we had people from all over the world wanted to work here.
We became a global destination for technology. Wouldn't you agree?
Sure did. Sure
right.
did.
You know, you think about the technology companies now, and, you know, yes, they give us convenience with electronic money and what have you, and our phones and our computers in our pockets. But what the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory was really life-changing.
Yeah, it was.
If not to say earth-moving.
Yeah, it was.
No, seriously.
In big form.
Right? No, but that's amazing. You know, that's real change.
It was. a collaboration between physics and chemistry and biology. So those were the three things.
That's a
that
great
they brought
collaboration,
into it.
science.
They pivoted from creating these thermonuclear wars and warheads, essentially, and into something that could help society. And
you hit the nail on the head. Something to help society. That's what iHeartSF is here to do. And with that, that's something I kind of wanted to get into. When Silicon Valley became a global destination for startups and other companies, other technology companies, that's where I really, and this is my experience in real live time, and I think you can agree. I mean, you saw the whole gamut of it. When the difference between the have and the have-nots really started to show. And you saw CEOs starting to make obscene amounts of money and companies starting to really capitalize on the wealth of the area and of their consumers and what have you. And with that, the amount of gluttony in terms of wealth out there between the higher ups, the C-suite level people, and the have-nots really just got so big that it began to affect our homeless population here in San Francisco. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Growing up in the city and in the area, it wasn't like this. The creation of these startups is great for technology, wonderful for the area. Evolution is definitely necessary. But what it did was it threw the homeless population in your face. It became aggressive, it became loud, and it became something we just can't ignore anymore. And one of the things that I've noticed is that you have these CEOs, and I'll go back to it, making ridiculous amounts of money. Thank you, astronomer, and your $93 million bonus that you completely tanked. But the point I'm trying to make is that the amount of money that they're making for the things that they're doing in terms of how they're affecting society is really not on par. It's a huge disparity. Disparity, that's right? The word I'm looking for. The disparity. It's too much. And before all of these, billionaires go out into the, Sonoma County and decide to buy acres of land and create their own communities, it is my, and I finally have a platform to say it, it's something I've been saying for years. It's my feeling that the CEOs of these companies, I'm looking at you, Mark, and both Marks, Zuckerberg and Benioff, actually, to use your wealth in a way in which you are actually making a difference in society. Now, your platforms have definitely done that. Look how beautiful this building that we're in. I remember Mr. Benioff, when you started at Salesforce on the side of the freeway off 101. I think even before that, you were in San Mateo off 92, which Rakuten now takes over that building. My point is, these CEOs, they are spending their money on a myriad of nonprofits here to do what I'm trying to do, and it's not working. Thank you, Spencer Pratt, actually, and Governor Gavin Newsom for showing us that nonprofits from the Tenderloin of San Francisco all the way up to the governor's office are just here to, this is my opinion and my experience, to keep people in despair and to keep those cycles of despair going. And I'm here to say, Mark, and I will keep saying Mark Zuckerberg, to let me be a CEO to mentor you and show you the real good that you can do with your money. It's time for the private sector to clean up the mess they made. Thank you for donating $75 million to San Francisco General and all those pretty new buildings. But when I was there the other day taking my friend to his 12th surgery, what I noticed was the paint on the old building windowsills was decrepit and decaying. So I just don't understand how that's happening. We are not fixing the problem. We're just putting Band-Aids on them. And the technology is what started it. It's, we've become a global destination, and the earth moving and the great things that the Livermore Laboratory has, come together with, and the wonderful things that Salesforce and Facebook and all the things that they've done to make our area and our world better, wonderful. But now it's time to clean up the mess. And
I like your example of the hospital. That shows the disparity, the dichotomy. The
dichotomy, what a great word.
Two people right next to each other. You've got this cutting edge technology, brand new medical facility.
Right.
Paid for
$75 million.
Huge amounts of money, right?
Huge.
And it's the trauma center. It's the cutting edge place where people are getting better.
Yeah.
But right next door on the same property,
yeah,
you have peeling paint on a window and probably some old unsafe building materials.
Right.
And
why couldn't you take some of that money?
Side by side, living in the same property, all for the same cause.
And you actually just pointed something out is really important for people to hear, is that it's true. We're living side by side in the same space, and you have people here and you have people here. I just don't understand why some of them need two homes, security that they're requiring. And, you have CEOs who have purchased these two giant homes in Atherton, shut down the streets, required all the security for what? You're not that important. Take your money and do good with it. And give it to me. I mean, let's just be real. Give it to me. Let me show you what I'm going to do.
One of the things that the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory was, I don't know if they get the credit they deserve, is the diversity of workforce.
No kidding.
Nationality and sex and gender. In 1957, they appointed Ann Robinson to be the first supervisor for a neutron reactor.
Oh,
which was a big
woman.
deal. A woman that hadn't been in that role before.
In technology, no less.
In technology,
in science.
Foundational
in the
technologies
50s.
in 57. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
The technology they brought, the transition from wartime to what we can use this technology to do good with, and the diversity of workforce. Yeah.
That is really a pillar of what San Francisco stands for. Diversity, inclusivity, and the ability for anybody to come here and live your dream. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's not like that anymore. We're trying to get back. I think that is great. To me now, I've learned a little bit more about the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory and how much it's really brought to the Bay Area. I mean, really, it is a pillar of technology, our origins, what makes us great, and it shows where the evolution has come from and what makes us great to today. Yeah,
it's pretty fun what come out of a couple thousand hippies riding their bike to work, right? That was also something you didn't see a lot of.
No,
my dad used to ride his bike to work.
Did he really? Was he a true hippie?
Yeah, he's a hippie. Longer hair, rode his bicycle to work. That was.
I love it. I love it. I believe in a past life. I should have been born in the '60s. I think inner child hippie, definitely. So
what did they say? If you remember the '60s, you probably weren't there. Right.
That's right. That's hilarious. So was it a casual culture there?
Yeah,
kind of like what we saw now?
Yeah, it was very casual culture.
Yeah.
Livermore back then was a small town.
Well, I mean, to some people it still is.
It was pretty casual. But
but working there was a nice place to work, and it was a nice environment.
It provided my family with income, security.
Yeah.
We were part of
consistency.
Town. Everyone, half the people I knew in town, their parents worked for the lab.
Oh, really? So that was the place to be.
That was the big place to work.
Right.
Either you worked in real estate or a bank or down at the lab.
No kidding. Oh my God, how funny, how interesting. Because now I bet you the kids in the area will be like, my mom works for Facebook, for Intuit, for totally. Salesforce. You hear about different big companies. Mm-hmm. And we want these companies to be around for a long time. We want the growth and all of that. So to be as structurally sound as
long as it could pivot into positive change,
right?
Right. Those drove wartime efforts, and it was necessary.
Yeah.
And it worked,
right? And it's
World
time
War
for
II
another.
Came to an end, and the bomb is a deterrent. and like playing three-dimensional chess, over world security with.
Right.
But it's the transition from and using those technologies and understanding like you said, the vast wealth that's been created from some of these things.
The vast
and
wealth.
The disparity between the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And they impact all of us on our daily lives. The traffic patterns, the cost of living,
right.
the access to essentials.
Yeah.
It's not there for everybody.
No. And you know what? It shouldn't be like that. We are in in a global destination, it shouldn't be like that anymore. And the homeless population definitely needs to be approached differently than what's been happening. And I am kind of making a proclamation out there that the private sector, the private companies who are really profiting on all of their consumers all over the world really need to do better with the money that they're making. And let iHeartSF show the world what we can do in terms of approaching the homeless population, helping them recover and become functioning members of society again. Here's where I look directly into the camera and I am talking to you, Mackenzie Scott and Melinda French Gates. No joke, I'm asking you to call me and to understand that iHeartSF is here to really make a change in the homeless population and to do what our nonprofits and our government aren't able to do. I want to purchase 300 Lake Street in San Francisco, the former home of St. Anne's, a retirement village behind about 6 acres of gated community. I want to call it iHeartSF Village. Put all the things that I have in place in one facility, a place where people can rest, be nurtured, recovered, learn new skills, a daycare where children can be watched while parents are able to help themselves reintegrate as functioning members of society. I know that I can do what needs to be done here in San Francisco. I need the help now. And I'm asking for the private sector to clean up the mess that you've made and invest with me and get this job done. Thank you. In the midst of all this, I do hope, our goal with our podcasts is to change people's perspective. Mm-hmm. Generally for the positive in San Francisco. We've had so much bad press for a little bit of time. And, hopefully today we're showing people that we really are, where technology started. The Lawrence Livermore Laboratory and what they've done for the area and for national security at that has been amazing. We're only talking about little bits and pieces of it, but their history goes deep. And so does the history of technology here in San Francisco. And that's kind of where I want it to come from. At the same time, spreading a broader message and how technology, you've done us well. Now let's really turn the page and make that, do well for the other people who need it too, not just for the people who are constantly benefiting. Yeah. So, makes sense?
It does. I'm hearing from you that people need a centralized space.
Yeah.
People need a sense of routine.
They do.
People
Consistency.
need a platform and support for recovery. People need...
It's not overnight.
Help.
Actually, they do. I just read an article the other day that San Francisco is walking back their policy on families only allowed 90 days in a facility. And they're walking that policy back because we know 3 months is not enough time. It goes quick, especially the older you get. Time definitely flies. But 3 months is not a place and enough time for somebody to really, recover and get back to their lives. And the iHeartSF Village, the timeline is indefinite. Enough time that you need to really feel comfortable and confident enough to get back to your life before, because You don't end up on the streets for no reason.
Yeah.
It takes time to get there. It doesn't just happen overnight. So
I was helped. I had a bad snow skiing accident, and I broke my leg so bad they thought they were going to amputate.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
My friend Gary too, same thing. Actually, we talked about last week. Tell me. That's so weird.
But before I can get back out of the Sierras and back down to SF General, where I was helped.
Oh, no kidding.
They had to stabilize me and get it ready first. But then, I was in between jobs. I had no health insurance, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was about to become the wharfinger for the city of San Francisco for the waterfront.
What did you call it?
That's called the wharfinger.
What is that?
It's where you work for the Port of San Francisco and you manage the waterfront from.
Like a wharf ranger.
It's like a harbor master or a property manager, but it's for the waterfront.
Okay, wharfinger.
And it's a wharfinger.
Okay, yeah. I love it.
I had been interviewing for over 6 months. There were thousands of people, and they came down to 2 of us. It was a point-based structure, and I had enough
amazing.
points to where I was going to be the new person, I believe. But then I broke my leg, and Zuckerberg's hospital. Well, it wasn't Zuckerberg's. It was SF General. I think it was private.
It still is
before Zuckerberg was there.
SF General. Yeah.
But they helped me by supporting me financially and with medical surgeries. They helped me pay my bills off over time. They found me financial assistance through the San Francisco Hearts Foundation, where they see the hearts that are around town, and they raise money for people. I was one of those recipients through a grant. My point of that is people need help to become functioning members of society again. Yeah. And that was a low point for me. No insurance, possible amputation on my leg. What was I going to do?
Yeah.
I couldn't go to work for the Port of San Francisco at that point.
But how long did that take you?
It took a long time.
It did. Months.
Yeah.
Months. More than 90 days.
Yeah. And I had
over
$750,000 of medical bills. And
how'd you pay that off?
Through grants and
so you got money to help you pay it off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got money.
That's amazing.
And I had a counselor through San Francisco General Hospital.
I have to say though, you were very lucky.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what?
Oh, incredibly
that is
lucky.
That is not
debt.
the norm.
I have a leg. You would never know that I had that happen in my
But the
past.
help that you got, that's not the norm in today's society.
No, I believe
that is not the norm. The amount of help that you got, the consistency, and the care that you were shown is not the norm in today.
Yeah. And it took a centralized location. It took a support system. It took
does.
financial assistance.
It takes a lot.
It took a routine.
It takes a village.
And it works. So,
when it's
I hope
there,
you can get your place. On Lake Street.
No, I mean, thank you. And that really,
something like that for a wider audience to help people become functioning members of society again.
Right. It takes time. It's slow.
Care.
It's a process. Yeah. It's a process because everybody's got different issues, Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I hope so too. So, hey, let's go. If TikTok can do your thing, so can the CEOs out there. And I promise you've never seen a CEO actually do the work. Let me show you, Mark. And what's that guy's name? Andrew Byron, what's his name? Astronomer CEO. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his 93, the one that just got caught on the Coldplay. Come on, dude, it's all over the internet.
I don't know.
The CEO,
teach me, tell me.
The CEO who was having an affair with his HR, the head of his HR, got caught at the Coldplay.
The kiss cam?
The kiss cam.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, you got CEOs spending their money on multiple homes that they don't need. You got CEOs getting millions of dollars in bonuses and being unfaithful to their spouses. I mean, here is a CEO who actually just wants to help the people of San Francisco. Give me the money. Let me show you what to do with it. Seriously, it's insane. No embezzling, no scandals, no wrongdoings, none of that. I mean, that's all I hear about from the nonprofits and this and that. Watch me. Just watch me. I'm already started. Let's go. All right.